And Mac Girl Magic Live is live. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. It's another Tuesday. Let me look at my calendar. Sorry, guys. My head is all over the place today. It's been one of those days, right? I know you know this. So it's now Tuesday, the 21st of November. We are live for Mac Girl Magic Live, another installment in this season where we have another great topic here this evening. It's now evening in Jamaica. It's actually 7:31 Jamaica time. And I'm very, very happy to be bringing you another great conversation. Now, first of all, I need to introduce myself. You're like, who is this person? So I'm Carrie Ann Stimpson, and I am the Big Sister Officer at the I'm the Big Sister Officer of the ICHS Alumni Association's Jamaica chapter. And it is my pleasure to be hosting this evening's conversation of Mac Girl Magic Live, where we'll be talking about physical and mental wellness for teens. And it's going to be a great conversation, guys, because let me tell you, there's a lot of, I guess, question marks about, hey, isn't a conversation about wellness for old people? No, because the fact of the matter is we can start setting a great foundation for wellness even in our teen years. And this is the place where we want to have this conversation. As usual, we have some awesome ICHS alums who are our guests tonight, and we're going to be happy to share in this conversation. So first of all, if you are joining us live, please, first of all, welcome and drop your name in the live chat down below. Drop your name and your ICHS house, okay? Don't worry if you're not in Rose of Lima. If you're not in Rose of Lima, I still got love for you, but I got special love for the people who are in Rose of Lima. But let me tell you something. It's all good. So drop your name and your ICHS house in the chat. Tell us where you're watching us from. Of course, we're streaming live, but this conversation is being recorded and we are going to be having a great time. And I must apologize for my co-host who's not feeling well today, Jade. One of our ICHS deputy head girls, she is not able to join, but don't worry, Jade, we're going to represent. We're sending you good vibes. We're sending you a big hug and hoping that you feel better soon and that you'll be able to join us next week and more about next week's topic. So without further ado, let me introduce our awesome guests. So first of all, I'm going to introduce both ladies. One is based here in Jamaica and the other is based overseas in the United States. And I'm going to introduce them just in alphabetical order, no particular order at all. So first and foremost, I'm going to bring her up. She is Philippa Chin, right? And Philippa was in my year at Immaculate. Now, she says she's going to bust and tell us what year we graduated, although I've been trying to bribe her, guys. Let's see. But it's all good. No matter the year, we both still look fabulous, if I do say so myself. But Philippa is here. She's going to be talking with us on the mental wellness component side of this conversation. Philippa is the assistant professor of counseling at Barry University, and she's joining us all the way from the United States. The beauty about this platform is we can be anywhere in the world and have this conversation. Philippa, welcome. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me here. This is exciting.
It
Absolutely.
is.
Yes,
It,
yes.
it is. We're going to have
Let's
a
see. The
great.
year we graduated was All right. You know what? I'm not going to shame anybody. I'm not going to do that to you.
Well, from you
I'm not
said
going to do that
9,
to
you
you.
bust it, although it could be many
And,
9s. But yeah, it's all good. It's
it
all
could
good.
be, we have 100 years around that time. So
Tell me about
figure
it.
it out.
Where are you joining us from, if you don't mind saying what state?
I am actually in Virginia, so I am
Okay,
remote
beautiful.
faculty working with Barry University that is
I
located
love
in
Virginia. Virginia is a
Mhm.
great state.
Yes, yes,
Nice, nice,
yes.
nice, nice. Well, welcome. Thanks so much for
Thank
joining.
you.
Because it's one of these things, guys, where we reach out to alums and we say, hey, would you join and be a part of this conversation? And Philippa actually just volunteered, and I'm so grateful because sometimes it's not easy finding featured guests for these conversations. So Philippa said me, and we're very happy to have you, Philippa. I remember Philippa as a gorgeous, gorgeous girl who's an amazing dancer. You still dance, Philippa? You still love to
Oh,
dance?
really? No. Well, I mean, I do my Zumba classes and my hip hop classes to kind of
Oh,
keep.
right, there you go.
Yes.
There you
Keep
go.
exercise going a bit. So in that way.
Yeah, I remember Philippa used to be an awesome dancer. So great to
Oh
hear that.
wow.
Great to
Thank
hear
you.
that. Have an excellent memory. Like I don't know, like an elephant. Here we go. Now our second amazing guest is of course another awesome ICHS alum. She's beautiful inside as she is outside. I met her a few years ago, and of course, when you meet somebody, you know they're awesome, and then it's even more awesome when you realize that you graduated from the same high school. So, of course, when I was looking for someone to speak on the physical side of the wellness conversation, I immediately thought of her. And she too happily consented to be a part of this conversation. She is Kamila McDonald. Hey, Kamila.
Hey, girls.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us and me.
This is going to be a fun conversation. For anybody who is in Jamaica and is not living under a rock, you probably know Camila very well. We know Camila very well. But I mean, among other things, apart from her beauty and her talent and so on, she is very passionate about this topic we're going to be talking about today, and has even her own personal journey, which I'm sure she'll probably touch on. But among other things, she's the Chief Wellness Officer of the Well Fit Club. She's also a restaurateur.
Yes.
Camila's Kitchen, doing great things. So welcome, welcome. Thanks so much
Thank
for
you.
joining.
Thank you
I
so much.
mean,
I want to say a special big up to Kaylee Smelly, Franciscan in the house. All
oh,
right. So all Fran girls showing extra love to y'all.
so I guess Camila was in France. Philippa, what house were you
Yes.
in?
Claire, St. Clair's, the green.
St.
At least you're not
Clair's.
showing up well, but green.
Oh, it's all good. Okay, so we got Rose of Lima on the panel. We have St. Clair's and we have the Franciscans. Any other houses, guys? Drop them in the comments. Don't be shy. It's all good. It's all love. So this is really going to be, I think, a great conversation, ladies, because this topic I feel like is very, very important as well. You know, I started off in the introduction by saying that normally when we talk about wellness or we hear conversations about wellness, perhaps the tendency among teens is to think, oh, this is an old people topic, you know. But the reality is that it's a real thing, and but for teens certainly to be aware of and to be tuned into. And I think if there was ever a doubt before about the importance of physical and mental wellness for teens, if it wasn't clear before, the pandemic made it abundantly clear. When you saw that everybody was locked up, couldn't go anywhere, had to go through so much stuff, not only obviously on the physical side in terms of things we had to do to keep ourselves safe. Unfortunately, some people would have gotten COVID or related illnesses and had to struggle through that, but just the whole journey of the mental struggles that were part of living through a worldwide pandemic that no one had ever seen. I think the whole matter of wellness, I think, has come to the forefront of what people I think appreciate as being a necessary part of your overall journey and living the life that you want to be able to live, and achieving your full potential. And so that's why we're having this topic, and I'm excited about it. And of course, I'm appreciative of you ladies joining in. So of course, we came up with a nice agenda. We have some questions planned. We're going to be here for about an hour. Of course, this conversation is streaming live on YouTube via the ICHS Alumni 876 YouTube channel, but we're also recording it, so it will be available on our channel forever and ever until we delete it, which will probably be never. So if you haven't gotten a chance to see it, or you can't stay for the entire conversation, or you missed some of it, then feel free to come back and watch it on demand. And please share this video. And if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. So every time we go live, which will be next time is next week, Tuesday, you'll get the notification and you'll be able to join us. All right. So let's jump into our questions and get into this great conversation. So I am going to start out by posing a question to or one of our wonderful guests, which is Philippa. Let's start out on the mental wellness side of the conversation, right? And as I said, Philippa, I think it's very important for us to realize that even though we're teens, Mental wellness is still a very, very important thing to be aware of and to be tuned into. In your experience, why should teens even care about mental wellness? I mean, what's so big about it? What's the big deal as far as
Great question. Great question. You know, teens at that stage in your life, when you're a teen, you start to realize that, every day is not easy. You start having some problems. Sometimes some bad things happen. Sometimes some bad things happen. So mental wellness, if you define it, it's a huge definition. But the thing that I think teens should focus on is the ability to cope, the ability to get through bad times. And of course, it's situational, and it's on a spectrum. So somebody's idea of a bad time might be somebody else's like, what? I mean, that's okay, right? And then some people, unfortunately, have had some really real trauma. So it's very important, especially at the teens, to realize how to be able to cope and get through and process negative challenges and issues that come up with their life. So that's why it's important.
Absolutely, I totally agree, and it's part of, I guess, what I'm hearing you say is resilience. It's about just recognizing that in order to cope with everything that life is throwing at you, you really need to be in that space of being resilient. And part of resilience is having great mental wellness as part of, I guess, your overall spectrum, as it were, of things in your toolkit. I mean, I'd love to ask the same question on the flip side of things for Kamila, which is about the whole matter of physical wellness. And I know, obviously, Kamila, this is your particular jam.
Yes.
But physical wellness, why should a teen even care? I mean, I'm young, right? All I need to do is just maybe eat something, exhale 2 times, and then I'm good to go, right? I don't need to care about physical wellness yet until I hit adulthood, right?
Wrong. And I'm so happy that you're having this conversation, Carrie, because I wish somebody had these conversations with us, when I was a teen. You mentioned my own personal struggles that, I'm definitely going to kind of dive in. But had I had these conversations to just understand the grave importance of caring for our physical wellness and our mental wellness, and the truth is, I know that Philippa will agree with me, is that you can't really disconnect the two, right? So it's physical and mental. There is a very strong mind-body connection that works hand in hand with each other, right? And where physical wellness is concerned, there's so many components of physical wellness, and then there are so many factors that influence it, right? But this physical body that we're in, it houses our mental wellness. It houses this physical experience that we're having here on this earth. It's the one precious vehicle that we have taking us around to pursue our goals and get us through school every day and homework and classes. I like to say that the body is the one place that we really live in, right? So sure, we have our homes that we live in, but we really live in our bodies, right? So we have to take care of it. And from how we manage stress, Philippa was speaking about that, just some days we have not so great days, but how we take care of our physical body is how we're going to be able to manage that stress that's inevitable, right? That just happens because life is, as we say, life is life in, right? But when it comes on to mood, when it comes on to our brain function, when it comes on, even how we sleep, which also inadvertently has an effect on our physical wellness and well-being as well. Our energy levels, down to our skin, down to just about everything. Our immunity and how often we get sick. Every single thing completely boils down to the decisions that we're taking, the habits that we're making around our physical well-being. So it's the most important. Both the mental and the physical, can't really disassociate them. And we have to, especially as teens, because, girls, this is where we are creating the foundations for everything to come, right? These are the habits that are forming when we go out into the world. So, luckily we are here. The culture of Jamaica is such that, we live at home with our parents, and, more likely than not, our parents love us very, very much, and they take great care of us. And then we have to, after we graduate and we leave our incredible high school, then we go off into the world and we have to fend for ourselves, right? And it's really the habits that we are creating from these early stages of life that are going to set us up for success later on. And so it's so important for us to take care of our physical and our mental well-being right now. Urgent.
Yeah.
We
Very,
can't
very
think
important.
about it.
Yeah, very, very important. And I'm glad you touched on all of those areas, Kamila, even like skin, when we think even just as a teenager with your basic struggles, a lot of us with acne and all these sorts of things, it all feeds into and connects right back to how we take care of our bodies, physically from the inside and how it comes out. Um, you know, Ladies, I wanted to kind of jump back into, I guess, some more practical examples of how these things can manifest. So, of course, we started out the conversation by just sharing our perspectives on why we believe it's important for teens to take note of, of mental and physical wellness as an important component of how they live their lives. But I think maybe it could help to connect the dots a little bit better for folks if we perhaps provide some tangible examples, if not personal, but certainly examples of things we would have experienced or encountered in our careers or in our practice. So I wanted to jump back over to Philippa and ask Philippa if she would be able to share. And I mean, I know, Philippa, you've been in this journey for quite some time, both in your studies and in your work. But would you be in a position to share with us perhaps some tangible examples of how you've seen things like this impacting teens? Just specifically examples of how you've seen poor mental and emotional wellness just negatively impacting teens and how that manifests. So I think more people can kind of see how it shows up in other people and how it could possibly be showing up for themselves and they're not even aware of it.
Right. So, I mean, I'm also a licensed therapist. So, in my clinical work, I've had the privilege of working with many teens. I love working with teens and adolescents. So, I've either seen them individually or with their family. And, a lot of what I see, and that's why I say the ability to cope is what's important. And, I'll go back a little bit and say, and, hopefully it comes from the home. I'm a parent too. I'm very intentional in teaching my children how to cope through the little things, because the big things will come. And so what I see is a lot of varying things. So on the, I would say the lighter side of things, for want of a better word, this could be, a disconnect with your family members, isolating yourself, feeling out of touch, out of place. And then there's the other side of it where if you're not able to cope properly with problems and issues, there is substance abuse. There is mental disorders. A lot of it may show up as anxiety and depression. That's the mostly common ones that I see a lot. All types of anxiety will show up. And then there's the other side of it where it's suicide ideation. We have to be comfortable talking about suicide ideation. It happens. Unfortunately, the research shows, and this is international, this is across the world, teens, the numbers are too high of teens that have suicide ideation and may even complete that. So that is what happens if you're not coping. And I also want to say that the other part of coping is trauma. So just like how we're talking about linking the physical self with the mental self, if somebody unfortunately is going through trauma, and let's just say there's a lot of abuse in the home and it's just been going on for years and years, it can affect the brain, the functioning of the brain, even the development of the brain. So, coping may seem like a light word, but there are different therapies that can help to almost restructure the brain so that it can, build its defense mechanism against what is happening. I mean, obviously, there are different ways of getting yourself out the situation if you have to, but that's why it's important. I know for myself, thankfully, I didn't go through, that type of terrible trauma. For me, it was just simply, I never felt like I belonged.
Yeah.
I was born in England. Half of my childhood was in England, and I got to Jamaica. And yes, I went to Immaculate Prep for a little bit, but throughout all my high school years, I felt like I never belonged. I may have looked like I was having fun and everything, but I never did, and I never felt comfortable talking to anyone. So, you never know. And I was just very quiet, and I had a lot of anxiety, but I never knew it was anxiety until I was older. That was anxiety. That was anxiety. That was all those negative thoughts was anxiety. So it's very important to be able to recognize that this is what is happening out of the inability sometimes to cope.
Yeah. Yeah. And thanks for sharing that, because I think what happens in conversations like these, even because when we talk about, mental wellness, and it's kind of a big, broad topic, we don't realize that there's a very big or major or perceived major components of it. You spoke about like suicide ideation, people who would have gone through traumatic events like maybe physical abuse, sexual abuse. But it can also be in the quote unquote not so major, people perceive it to be, but it's still very important. Like you said, even just not feeling like you fit in, and you feel
Right.
anxiety around that, I'm glad you share that. I mean, I remember me at Immaculate, before I relaxed my hair, in our time, natural hair was not a good thing. I'm glad to see where it is now.
Yes.
Natural hair was not a good thing. You needed to have relaxed, straight hair in order to be embraced. And before I relaxed, I just didn't think I was pretty enough, or I was good enough, I wasn't smart enough. And all of those anxieties that caused you to feel like, well, how am I going to fit in? And you just probably you need to put on a mask, as you say, because I looked at you as a classmate and didn't think that you were going through all this.
No, you learn to put on this front and act a certain way. And where did that come from? Where did you even learn to do that? And that's not necessarily a healthy way of dealing with it. It's not necessarily healthy, because then you can lose yourself a little bit and say, what is happening? Who am I? What am I really thinking and feeling?
Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot of us, and I'm sure a lot of the students who are listening now actually go through that. So I hope that they realize that they're not alone in this. This is quite common.
Absolutely, it is a thing, and I appreciate you sharing that. So, thanks so much, because I think it's good, as I said, for us to connect the dots for people to understand how mental wellness challenges or struggles can show up from the little to the not so little, or perceived little to the perceived not so little. But they're all very important to address, because if you don't address them, then as you grow older and life really starts life in, I think it was Kamila who said it earlier. You don't have the coping mechanisms to be able to deal with life as it gets bigger and harder and more complex as you grow and take on additional responsibilities. Thank you so much. This is great. So, Kamila, over back to you, because I know that obviously been following your journey for a little bit as well, and I would love if you could kind of dig in, because having spoken with Philippa just now to ask her how mental wellness challenges kind of show up for teens, and how she would have seen that in her practice and even in her own life. Would you share with us on the physical wellness side, Kamila, how you see that showing up not only in others, in your work, but also if you have anything you want to share from your personal journey as well?
Sure. I was a very active ICHS girl. I went up to lower six, and I swam for Immaculate. So I was swim training 4 days a week. So pick up everybody on the swim team.
Yeah.
I was also dancing 3 days a week. And I was on the cheerleading team, and I was on the gymnastics team. So
Wow.
I never ever had an issue. I didn't ever have to think about exercise, because I think it was just ingrained in my everyday reality, right? And I enjoyed these things. And these are some of the things that we should talk about later, in terms of ways in which people can really care for their physical well-being, especially at this age. It should just be things that we enjoy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in lower six, I applied for, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the United World Colleges.
Yes.
So when you apply for the program, you don't know where you're going to get placed if you get selected. And I found out I was selected for a full scholarship to go to Norway. At
Mm.
this time, I didn't even know where in the world, where is Norway? I've been in Jamaica my whole life and just kind of had that very narrow view of the world. I remember looking it up on the map, with my parents, just being like, okay, where in the world are you going? And I was 10 hours north of Oslo. So that was again so that would have taken the space of upper six. And I was doing the international baccalaureate there. And let me tell you, the transition from leaving my good, nice, sunny island of Jamaica and
Mm-hmm.
moving 10 hours north of Oslo, which was really the northern part of Norway. So I'm talking about minus 20 degrees, on a regular basis. During the winter months, most times we wouldn't have sunlight, for more than 2 hours. So it would be dark when I was going into school, and then it would be dark when I was coming out of school. And, I remember we used to like hang things outside of our window sill instead of putting them in the fridge because it was just so cold, right? Sometimes it would get icy, the milk and everything outside our windows, right? So I'm sharing this to say that I went from one extreme to the other where weather is concerned. I was leaving my family for the first time. I'm the first of 5 children. We're a very close-knit family, and the thought of leaving them was a lot harder than I had anticipated. And then the rigor of the schoolwork was also very, very intense. It was very different from the CXCs that we had taken at that time. And, I was kind of among people from 80 different countries from all over the world. You're living 5 in one space. So I think there were just a lot of changes that happened all at the same time. And I don't think it's very unfamiliar for anybody who is leaving home to go to study away at college, right? Which, many of our girls will do. And so I think not having anticipated what those challenges would have been like, from the side of the weather, just being able to run up and down outside, you take it for granted. But when that is taken away from you and you feel too cold to even, you're putting layers and layers and layers of clothing on and you're still cold. So, my physical activity drastically reduced. My stress levels drastically increased, right? And we know the strong connection, we spoke about it earlier, between, physical activity and, just caring for our bodies and our mental well-being, how we're feeling emotionally and mentally,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, and even sunlight, even things like sunlight play a huge role in
Yeah,
how
'cause that side of the world has like minimal
suicidal,
sunlight. Yeah, certain times of year.
so that impact that it has on our mental well-being. So, I again went from being a very active, chirpy, happy, student to, wow, I was staying inside. I turned to food for comfort, without even realizing it at the time, right? When we are stressed out, we crave for things that are high in sugar and processed food because it's going to give us energy right away, right? And so I was eating around the clock. I was eating very late at night. I wasn't accustomed to that either, because now the rigors of school, you have to be up doing all these studying, the tests, but the program was very intense. And so, you're eating up late at night and very, very one at a time, very slowly, or what felt quickly, actually. I gained the freshman 10, quickly became the freshman 15. Then it went on to the sophomore 20. Before you know it, I was 65 pounds heavier than when I left home, almost 200 pounds at my heaviest,
Wow.
being overseas. So, this, of course, took, a huge toll on, again, speaking about that mind-body connection here, mentally, emotionally, physically, I felt like a prisoner in my own body. I developed an eating disorder. which was very difficult to understand, similar to what Philippa was just describing, not really knowing what to call it or term it, just knowing that you're struggling with something. And, just again, being very far away from home, not really accustomed to sharing these kind of things or even experiencing these kind of things to begin with. So not seeking out the right help at that time. And, it really did take a toll on me. And, luckily, what happens usually as resilient beings, right? We know that our girls at Immaculate are resilient girls. And, when we hit rock bottom, right, where there's nowhere to go from there, aside from, you kind of find that strength, and you realize what you're made of. And, I put one foot in front of the other, and I started to purchase clothes that could actually fit me, because my clothes couldn't fit me anymore. And I think I was in denial for a period of time. So, one Christmas I came home, and, me and my parents kind of bought a new wardrobe for myself. And, there's a lot of coming to terms with reality that happens at that place. And I remember they had an indoor pool at my school, a heated indoor pool. And so, that was my love. My love was swimming. And so I was able to find that again. And I started to swim train, and I started to put on layers and layers and do the little jogging that I could do. And, at that time, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just know that I knew that I had to do something, right?
Yes.
And, at this point, you just put one foot in front of the other. And, I was able to change my life, and, really understand, just the connection between what you eat and how you feel, right? And, that, weight is really not the thing, right? So because when you are struggling with your weight, there's almost this fixation on weight loss, weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. And what happens when you fixate on that, then you explore probably unhealthy ways to quickly, because any quick fix is going to be unhealthy, right? So I did the Atkins diet, the South Beach diet, the Beyonce diet, every diet you could think of, right? Because I just wanted to, lose the weight so badly, and I was willing to just kind of do just about anything.
Right.
So it wasn't until I was in college in California when I started to really be mindful of my choices a little bit more. And, I sought out the help. I remember ordering on Amazon, because now I'm in the US, right? So I can order something today and it come tomorrow on Amazon. Okay.
Perfect.
So I, really dug in, and I just became fascinated with learning about the body and how to become more and more healthy. So I just remember in ordering every book that I could get my hands on, just reading and just really immersing myself in the material and the research that was out there. At that time, I became a full vegan, which I'm no longer. Right now, I'm eating fish a couple times a week. And balancing it out a little bit more. I learned about the multidimensional, place that we all have. So everybody is very, very different. So not one thing is going to work for everybody, right? You kind of have to know what works for you and your body. But there are fundamental things, of course, that kind of apply to all of us. And so I really just became fascinated with that process of transformation, and taking it one step at a time, and not looking for the quick fix, and really focusing on feeling better in my skin. So back to that mental health root, and the fact that you can't disconnect the two. So that was my personal experience. And then also realizing that there were so many, I wish I knew and understood that, because when you're going through these things, especially when you become a recluse in the process, you don't realize that there are other women that are struggling with some of the same things. And Carrie, that's what I was speaking about earlier, in how grateful I am that you're having these kind of conversations, because the truth is, we take it for granted, our physical well-being, when we're at this age, because our metabolisms are popping, right? So we can't eat anything we want to eat. We can do anything we want to do, right? And still be all right, okay? And then little, old age reach you, and then you realize, and that's when I say old age, that's already starting to happen from, like, once you hit 30 years old, your metabolism is slowing down. We actually lose muscle from 30 years old. There's a process called sarcopenia where we all lose muscle every single year. So even if we're doing the same things, eating the same things, or activity is the same, we are going to gain weight because we're losing muscle mass. So, again, it's just kind of the awareness about
Yeah.
the importance of really valuing this precious body that we have,
Yeah.
and the fact that we can become and be active participants in our own wellness journey. And there's so much power that we have over how we look, how we feel, how well we'll be, whether we get sick or not, all of these things. And so, yeah, that was my personal experience. And then, as I mentioned, just kind of seeing that many women who left home, especially women from the Caribbean, actually, because we picked up, there were so very few of us, right? Many of us were gaining weight. And, we all hear about the freshman 15 and the freshman 20 and all of these things because, it's just such a different environment when you leave home. So again, going back to that, laying this foundation from now is so very important.
Yes, yes, indeed. Very, very important. And I'm glad you shared that part of your journey, Kamila, because when we talk about as teens, as you rightly said, so I'm a teenager, my metabolism is popping, I'm good to go. And as you age, of course, I know, well, you said definitely once you hit 30, the gears start to change for sure. And Philippa and I can tell you, when you hit 40, baby, oh my Lord, you just have to smell the food and you put on the 5 pounds and try take it off. No, it's a totally different story. So it's important even as teens to remember in terms of the foundation that you're laying for your level of activity, your diet, what are you putting into your body. It really is a great time to lay that foundation for later life that is going to come and get you. So
Yes, one way
it's
or the
just
other.
it is what it is. But ladies, I think this is great. Thanks so much for setting the context. And I know we have some new folks joining. So hi everybody, feel free to again, if you want to. I know we tend to have more lurkers than commenters, but feel free to drop your name and ICHS host in the chat, or if you have a question, feel free to drop it in the chat as well. So we're now moving into the latter part of the conversation now as we bring it home, where we're going to be talking about some tips and solutions. Obviously we don't have all the answers here, and what we're sharing here doesn't replace what we always encourage our students to do, which is to of course consult their trusted provider, medical care professional, etc. But we're now coming into the part of the conversation where we're talking about tips. What can teens do? And I'm going to, of course, start out with Philippa to go jump back again now on the mental wellness side. So, Philippa, of course, you would have shared, how mental wellness struggles, rather, not health, wellness struggles can come up. And I'd love for you now to just transition now into what are some of the things that teens can do to help to support better mental wellness. If you can give us, I mean, I thought of 3 things. If you got 4, great. But yeah, what from your experience as a therapist in your profession, what can teens do right away to start supporting themselves towards better mental wellness?
And thanks for asking that. And I like that you said right away. Like, what can you do right now? The first thing is to find or create your support system. So, who are those people that you can talk to right away? All right, when you're feeling down, if you're feeling really down, who can you talk to? Now, often we say that it's a trusted adult. It could be a good friend of yours. It could be a teacher, somebody in the school, but somebody you can talk to and who validates your feelings, meaning they go, yes, you must be feeling down because that happened. Can I sit with you? What can I do for you? What can I do to help you feel better? So it's very important to establish those relationships. And it doesn't have to be a full village. It could be one person. It could be that one person that can stay there with you when you're crying and you're feeling down and just hold your hand or just give you a hug. That is your person. That's your support system. If you have more extreme mental health issues and you're really struggling with coping, and I'm talking about depression, real depression, right? Then it's even more important to have that support system. So who are the 2 or 3 people that you can call or text right away, and who will answer? Those who will answer you right away. I want you to
Yes.
identify those people now
Mhm.
and like put them, I think you can put in your phone like priority or something like that, whichever phone you have, like a star but beside their name. Those are the people that you know. I mean, I know I have some people in my life. I don't care. They could be in a different state, a different country. They are answering me right away,
Mhm.
So that's important. The other thing, like what was discussed earlier in Camilla's experience, is find an activity, often like a somatic technique, so physical, that works for you. I was telling you, and it's interesting you brought up the dancing, because I loved dancing. I
Yeah.
could go off in my own world when I was doing it at Jamaica School of Dance. That's where I
Yeah.
went. So, dancing, find a physical activity, dancing. It might even be something less active, but still, you still can burn stuff. Yoga, that sort of thing. You can even do stuff like art if you're into art, or going back into to sports, yoga, singing, writing, reading, listening to music. A lot of teens, a lot of my teen clients just like to listen to music, and I've told them, make your music list. I know I'm probably not saying the right word, and I'm just aging myself, but make your music list, for the times when you're feeling down, for times when you need to like pep yourself up a bit, and times you just want to just kind of like relax and vibe. Make different lists for yourself. So that's very important to do that. The other thing I would say is, right now as a teen, it's very important to develop that reflection skill. So
Mm.
that is, how do you link your thoughts and your emotions with your actions? This is done a lot in what we call cognitive behavioral health therapy. Okay, so if you find that you don't understand why you feel this way about something, think about the situation. Okay, so maybe the situation is, oh gosh, every time I go to history class, I start feeling miserable, my heart starts beating, I start sweating, right? And then think about what the thought is. The thought might be, you might be thinking, I'm just so embarrassed, I'm just being silly. So you need to link them together and realize what the emotion is. And the emotion might be that you might be just stressed out because it's history class and history might not be your best subject, and because you're at Immaculate, you feel like you always have to be getting A's when
Yeah.
you know yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
going to Immaculate is it can be stressful there to kind of keep
Mhm.
up, right?
Mhm.
So it's very important to realize that, to be able to do that. And again, you can have, it's called the ABC worksheet, and I think you really can look up on Google or anywhere to find that out. And you have your
Mhm.
thoughts, your emotions, and your actions, and you can just kind of link them together. Again, reflect on it. And reflecting could be you're just sitting in your own thoughts, or you write it down in a diary, or you talk about it with your support system.
Mhm.
um and I will add one more thing.
Sure.
Again, it's very important to seek help. If you are feeling very down, um, depression, if you feel like, you're having these thoughts that are not healthy thoughts, I shouldn't be thinking these things. If you find that you say to yourself, I feel like there is an addiction going on here, or I feel like I'm not around the right people, then see if you can seek help. See if you can get somebody in your support system. In this case, because you are teens, you're probably going to have to reach out to an adult and see if there's a therapist, counselor that you can speak to. That we're here to help and to find you the resources or the interventions and the therapies that can help you. So I don't want anyone to feel shame. I did not do therapy in my teen years, to be honest with you. I don't know if Jamaica may be getting out of this, but there's some sense of shame sometimes with that. But I see Jamaica is getting out of this. I did a lot of therapy in my 20s, my early 20s. And I still will go see a therapist now if I need to. Fortunately, I have a lot of therapists that are friends. So I have that
Yeah.
support system there. But there's no shame in going to therapy. It's very, very, very important. So I would say, you know, those are definitely some of the things that teens can turn to right now today.
Wonderful. Philippa, could you just go over them again for me, please, just to make sure we have them in a nice capsule together?
Sure. So first of all, it is developing or creating your support system. You know,
Mm-hmm.
find your tribe. Find your
Yes.
tribe.
Yes.
The other thing is find activities that you can really just get into. You can work off that stress and pain, whether it's physical, dancing, swimming, you know, or whether it's art or reading or listening to music, whatever that is. The next thing I was saying is, well, I did go into it's important for the therapy. It's very important to
Yes.
do that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then reflecting. So it is reflecting on your thoughts, your actions, and your emotions. It's time for you to reflect on that.
Yes.
What is my emotion? Really the emotion. What are my emotions? What is real? What is my thought process? And usually the thoughts that you have are more negative. So then you can work on reframing that to more of a positive way
Mm-hmm.
of thinking of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Philippa, I appreciate each of those points. And, I actually just wanted to kind of throw in a quick question here because, of course, in addition to being, a woman and an ICHS alum, etc., I
Mhm.
feel like if you could perhaps give a quick point about the diet of social media,
Oh,
how that could impact your mental wellness.
right? Because we
Probably
never
a
had that.
physical too, Kamila. Probably a physical to Kamila. So get ready. But I mean, I feel like because I say to people all the time, right? Because we did a personal branding episode just now
Mhm,
last week. And
mhm,
I was saying to folks that one of the big differences between all of us, I think, on this in this conversation here, alums who would have been in my generation, Camila's generation as well, yours, Philippa, is the fact that when we were going through our teen years and making mistakes and doing all kind of crap, we're good because right now there's not a record of it anywhere, right? These teens these days, they don't get a chance to do
right.
anything. There's some camera, there's somebody live streaming you, there's somebody taking you the picture of you in the background somewhere, posting it on Instagram, making TikToks. I mean, it's just they don't even get a break. And then put us that aside, just them just observing the diet of what they're seeing and consuming on social media, online, including platforms like YouTube, where we are now right now. I'm sure that must have an impact. And I don't know if you could share maybe just a quick word, I guess, on how to manage that context in your life as you try to keep well mentally. Just
Right,
say.
right, right. I mean, you know, as I said, we didn't have that when we were younger. I
Mm-mm.
mean, that wasn't a thing. And, you know, what really worries me about teens right now is the amount of information that they're getting. It's a lot of information. Now,
Mhm.
you look at sites like TikTok. I think it's great. Actually, there's
Mhm.
a lot of information, but it's a lot of information. And if you are a certain age and stage, you may not have the context of what is happening. You're just giving information, but you're not asking, you're not having the critical thinking or having the critical questions as well. Where is this information coming from? Where is this point of view? Nowadays, at least up here, there's a lot of teens and they're taking in a lot of information about what's happening, you know, in the rest of the world. And it is causing a lot of anxiety, right? And I do believe at some point, yes, you should be aware of what's happening. But then it's like, what are you taking in? Is this information correct? Is this real? What is happening?
Mhm.
The other thing, and again, you should have these conversations with someone who you can, you know, have these to really just settle you down and let you know that yes, you should be aware of this stuff, but let's take care of your mental wellness first, right?
Mhm.
And the other thing is, a lot of what you see is not real. I know it seems real, it's not real. Look at me right now. I had the right lighting, everything, looking smooth.
Yeah,
Right,
looking
right.
gorgeous.
Look at this.
Look at
This,
that.
this. Let me tell you, when I go up in my bathroom, there's something here, something here, something here, something here,
Mm-hmm.
circles under the eyes. But here it's not real.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So, and when you see like other people out there and the famous people and how they look nice and things, that might not be the reality. The reality is different. Talking about, as I said, how I was able to really put up a front for years, that everything was okay. A lot of people, a lot of famous people, they just know how to do that. They just put on this different personality, but behind the scenes is different. So a lot of what you see is not real. That doesn't mean that everything is sad and bad in the world. I just
Mm-hmm.
want you to know that what you're going through is reality, and what you're going through is probably what most other people are going through. And if we could just be real with each other and talk to each other, what's the word I'm looking for? Vulnerable. If we can be
Yes.
vulnerable and honest with each other, we would know that we're all going through the same thing, especially as girls. We're in an all girls school, Immaculate, right? As girls, we need to be able to create this unit of trust with each other and not necessarily competition or trying to keep up with, or that one look like this and this one look like she
Yeah.
attaining this and this one looks like she better than this, all of that. So you want to make sure that we can talk to each other and be real and be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Love that. And I love the fact that you highlight that, what we see online is not real, and that's a temptation because we see
Right.
it and because it's there, because Google said it, it's true, right? No, because
Exactly.
I know when I post, I'm not posting when me and my husband have an argument. I'm posting the pictures when we love up and we're happy. But we know
Exactly.
that there must be arguments, there must be
Exactly.
stresses. We're gonna get sick. There's gonna be times when the concealer wash off of your face and your skin isn't all
Mhm.
smooth.
It's funny you
So it's
said that. There's so
yeah,
many times I see people facing where I'm a certain generation, so Facebook. But yeah,
yeah.
people are posting on there. But I knew they just had an argument like 30 minutes earlier. But you're giving the impression
And I'm
that you
tired
guys
of
have
my
a
husband.
perfect
I'm tired
relationship.
of him. It
No, you
stress me
don't.
out. I'm like, oh,
No, you
posting
don't.
my wonderful hobby. I'm like, but no, you
Right.
said. It's really funny.
Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, it's great. Yeah, I think that was important. I really wanted to raise the point because the
Thank you
digital
for that.
diet, man, will
Thank
send
you
you.
for that.
And I
Mhm.
know it really does send you for the physical as well. I'm sure Kamila will have a lot to say. Because when you see all them hot, sexy body girls, and you don't know who went and got what nipped and tucked and what airbrush and thing, and you're killing yourself on the treadmill, why you can't look like that?
Exactly.
Only to realize
You
it's
have your
totally
body that you
unattainable.
have.
Exactly, totally unattainable,
Exactly.
but what can I tell you? But thanks so much, Philippa. So I am going to hop back over to Camila now as we're, moving into this, we're in this final stage of the discussion. So we would have discussed, of course, some tips that teens can implement right away to just kind of take charge of their mental wellness. And I'd love to pose the same question of Camila, of course, in terms of your tips and recommendations of what teens can do right away to take charge of their
Sure.
physical wellness.
And I also just want to add, there's so much that teens have to navigate,
Mm.
in today's world. My daughter is in first form, and when I look at some of the things that she's maneuvering through, it's just brand new. And I just really want you girls to know, if you're listening now live, or you're tuning in later, like, just have patience with yourself, have patience with everything that you might be feeling.
Mm.
It's a lot, and you're not alone in that. And the truth is, taking care of your physical well-being will help you to navigate these things, because the truth is, it's hard to feel bad about a body that you're taking good care of,
Yeah.
right? So in the WellFit, we have these 7 pillars of WellFit, and that's kind of how I like to break down what we can do right away.
Mhm.
So we have move well, we have eat well, we have drink well, we have sleep well, we have rest well, we have feel well, and we have live well. Okay.
Mm.
So let's start with move well. When we think about our physical well-being, one of the first things we think about is regular exercise and just being physically active as often as possible, right? And that should just be incorporated in your everyday life, right? As a teen, maybe you're not going to be signing up for a gym necessarily, even though you very well could be. But I would also recommend really just trying to get involved in everything that the school has to offer. One of the things I remember about Immaculate, there is so much for us there, right? So many activities. I just remember I actually came in from St. Andrew into Immaculate in fourth form, and I remember just being wowed out by all of the extracurricular activities that we have, at our fingertips, that are free, that are right there on campus. They're safe for us. It's easy for our parents. So see how you can get involved, whether it's the track team, the swim team, the netball team. There are so many different teams, and just that ability to have that school spirit and be on a team and be a good team player and work towards something. That's all confidence building. When you are immersed in that, sure, you're looking at the girl on Instagram and this and that because that's what the algorithms want us to do, right? But it's not really so much in the forefront because you're getting all the endorphins and all the serotonin, the dopamine. These are all feel-good hormones that are released every time that we are physically active, right? And so it's just as much as possible, try to just be as physically active. So if you're not sweating in some way or the other, I would say a minimum of four times a week. We need to reevaluate what's going on there. Of course, in Jamaica, it's not that safe to be walking, so unfortunately, we don't have that ability to, just walk to and from school and public transportation necessarily. Many of us do, but, we're driving in cars a lot. We're driving in buses a lot. So, really go out of your way to immerse it in your extracurricular and, making sure that you're doing the things that you love. Philippa spoke about it. That's so important also for our mental well-being. If you love to dance, get dancing. I know there must be a dance club or a cheerleading team or something. Get physically active as often as possible. Don't let the academics be, taking over completely, that where it's not finding enough time to move your bodies, right? So that's the move well pillar.
Yeah.
Then there is the eat well pillar. That's another very, very, very important pillar, and just it impacts everything on our in our physical well-being and our physical bodies, right? So again, we're not thinking about it. It might not be at the forefront. You just order a patty. Box lunch are the sweetest thing in a high school, right?
Yeah.
Is the box lunch is still nice? Because I remember
I hear it. Yes.
and you just kind of eating what you love to eat, right? You just eating anything. We can't do that, right? We have to really cut back, reel it all in. The processed food, the foods that are high in sugar, right? There's a number that I want everybody to think about. Try not to exceed more than 20 grams of added sugar a day. Try your very best. And, even if you exceed it, just being conscious of it will be a huge difference. So every single time that you are about to consume something, look at the label first. Hopefully, most of what you're consuming doesn't even have a label. Okay, so an apple, you don't need to read a label. It's an apple, a banana, a grape, whatever, you know what I mean? But if you are consuming food that's in a box, in a can, in a package of any kind, make sure that you are reading the nutrition label. And if it has more than, 5 grams of added sugar in that one package, and that's a whole other topic altogether in terms of learning how to read nutrition labels. That's a very important lesson, because then you're going into serving sizes and all of those things that are very important to understand. But if you have 20 grams in your mind, that's what the World Health Organization recommends, that we don't have any much more than 20 to 25 grams of added sugar a day, except in a bottle of soda, let's go into drink well, you are seeing 40 grams of soda in the one soda bottle, and some people are drinking 2 sodas a day, right? And so what's happening is that this high intake of processed sugar and processed food, it's affecting our mental health. We might not realize it. It's sending our blood sugar levels spiking all over the place. And so, our energy levels are, not sustained throughout the day. So you might feel like at about 1 o'clock, before the school bell is ringing at 2 or 3 o'clock, you're feeling super tired and exhausted. Maybe this is after having a heavy lunch of white rice and, all of these various different things. And so what we're consuming is very, very important, and just try to consume as simple as possible, right? If your grandparents or your great great grandparent could not recognize that food that you're consuming, it's probably not good for you. Look at the ingredient label. If it has many, 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 many ingredients, you do not want to consume it. If it has ingredients in there that you can't pronounce, it's not good.
I
Okay.
love that.
So being very, very conscious of, just the food that you're consuming, eating as much whole foods as possible, right? So, I don't know how many of you guys are bringing lunch to school. When I was growing up, my parents forced me to bring lunch to school. And, I didn't feel like I was as cool as everybody else, but I look back and I feel like, well, that was the purest form of love, kind of preventing me from having to consume, all of these unhealthy foods. So, that's eat well. We spoke a little bit about drink well. So being really mindful about the soda drinking, the juice drinking. Don't just do that mindlessly. Those add up. And it's not about the calories. It's really about the nutrient density of the food that we're consuming, right?
Right.
Foods that are high in sugar are very, very low on the nutrient density scale, and they're not contributing anything to our well-being. In fact, they are really depriving us from, having a healthy life. So, and then there's water. Making sure that you're consuming enough water every single day. That's one of the easiest way that right now you could change your health right now today in 1 hour just by consuming enough water, right? So, for example, I walk around with my, big, huge bottle, BPA-free water bottle. If you can, bring your water bottle to school, right? Make sure that you're drinking a minimum of 3 liters of water. Remember that we're growing ladies' hair, that we need to be flushing out the toxins out of our body. Water is used for every single process that our bodies need, our brains, everything needs to function properly. We need to drink enough water, and immediately you will feel better. Your energy level, your mood, everything is kind of, boiling down to how hydrated you are. So make sure that you are staying adequately hydrated. Then there is sleep well. Okay, so this is another very important pillar. Those of you who are mindlessly scrolling on social media when your mommy and daddy tell you to go to bed, what is going on? So make sure you get to bed. We need it. We need, between our teenage years, we need 8 to 10 hours of sleep every single night, or you're not doing your physical well-being justice. Okay, and so I know it doesn't sound cool and it's not fun, and you may feel like you're missing out.
FOMO, I'm missing out, guys.
But trust and believe, you will thank yourself for just taking your little beauty sleep every night and just making sure you go to bed and respecting that time that your body needs to recover from all of the activities and all of the schoolwork, all of the homework, all the responsibilities, all the things that are going on in our heads every day. We need to turn off fully and rest and sleep for a minimum of 8 hours every single night. So if that's not happening, we really need to reevaluate, because again, you're not doing your health justice. You're not your full optimum self if you are not doing these things, right? Then there's a huge difference between rest well and sleep well. So I wish meditation was a lot more popular when I was younger, and thankfully they're coming out with these like 10-minute meditations. You can find them on Nike Fitness. There's, tons of resources. You can just type in, 10-minute meditation for gratitude on YouTube, and thousands of them pop up, right? And just taking that moment to bring attention and awareness to your breath and being able to tune out, because oftentimes we're either in the past and ruminating about that and thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't do well on that test, or this friend not talking to me, or what is happening on social media, or what, or we're thinking about the future. Oh my God, my exams are coming up. What is going to happen? I have this, thing, we're thinking about the future, we're thinking about the past, and we're not enough in that present moment. And that's the beauty of meditation. And that just kind of calms our mind, and it allows us to tune into our breath. And it is a very, very powerful tool, and it's accessible to all of us. It is free. You can use it, and you can literally in 5-10 minutes just change your entire aura, your perspective. Everything can be changed through meditation, right? And that goes for prayer as well, right? So I know we're a very praying country, we're a very, very praying school. So dig deep into the prayer, right? That's a very important way that you can rest your mind too, because then you can know it's not your troubles to take on, right? There's a higher power there that you can rest your troubles on, and you can really spend that quiet time with yourself and with your creator. That's a very, very important tool, right? So then there's rest, and even just stretching. We're sitting down, we're looking at screens all day long, all day long, all day long. Just even breathing exercises. Again, some of these things sound very boring, but they're very integral in, they play a very integral role in your well-being, physically, mentally, every kind, right? Then we have the Feel Well pillow, which is really what Philippa eased into, because that's the mental health pillow. And, she did such an incredible job there. And, I also want to second that role of journaling and writing down your thoughts. It's a very powerful tool that we have accessible to us. And, you should just kind of have your notebook, or, however you write your thoughts out. And I know that we're in a digital age, but I highly recommend just writing what your thoughts are. Asking yourself different questions, even just a simple question: how am I feeling? Sometimes it's just that powerful question: how am I feeling today? What is there anything that I need from myself today? Right? Sometimes these things come up in our own writing, and you would be surprised, some of the things that are coming up for us. And when we have them on paper, then, it kind of helps us to organize our thoughts a little bit more and understand how we're feeling. As we're growing into ourselves as teens, we're going to be learning more about ourselves, right, here at this stage. And that's a whole process, and it never stops. You're going to continue learning right up until the day that we depart the earth, right? But, it's still new that we, this stage that you ladies are at right now, it's still new to learn about ourselves and our thoughts, how something made us feel, why did it make us feel that way. This is all very important to just kind of get into that habit of putting those thoughts down on paper, because also when you do go and seek out the help, that would help too, because you've already started that process. And, I think just kind of fleshing it out sometimes, is therapeutic and cathartic, right? To just kind of get it out and get it off, so that it's not just kind of on your chest, right? So
Yes.
I would say that Feel Well pillow. And then there's Live Well, right? And so this is just doing the things that you love, making memories with your loved ones. Don't isolate that from our physical well-being, right?
Yes.
So when is the last time you did something for the first time, right? In Jamaica, we are so blessed with a country that has the rivers and the seas and the mountains, and we have all of these great resources right here at our fingertips. You can drive half an hour and you're at a beach, right? And so we need to live well, we need to live more, especially as youth, right? This is your time in life where you really should be living as loudly as possible, and that will surprisingly have a huge impact on your physical well-being.
Yes, indeed. Love those. So give us those, list those again for us,
So we
please,
have
Camille.
move well, eat well, drink well, sleep well, rest well, feel well, and live well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Love it, love it, love it. I mean, all great stuff, ladies. I mean, this has been, I think, such a great conversation. I mean, we're coming right down to the end, but I don't know if real quick, if you could just share with us maybe some resources that the folks watching could be able to just access in terms of anyone that they can speak to or anywhere there they can get information about how they can take better care of their physical and mental wellness. Philippa, I'll just start with you. Anything you want, any direction you'd point folks into?
Right. So I would advise our Immaculate students to contact their guidance counselor, a trusted teacher, even a trusted parent. I know that there are some associations in Jamaica like You Matter. I think there's Teen Hub, those sort of things. But I also think it depends on where you are in Jamaica. And it's very important for this information even to go around Immaculate itself as to what numbers on what website people can go to if they are feeling majorly depressed or if they have some suicide ideation.
Absolutely, absolutely. I appreciate that advice. So yes, folks, if you have any struggles at all with the whole aspect of your own mental wellness, or if you have even a friend, a classmate who is struggling, speak to the guidance counselor right there at school. There's more than one. Speak to a trusted teacher or a trusted adult parent or guardian who could perhaps point you in the right direction about how to get support or how to get support for your friend. Kamila, any resources that you could point folks in the direction
I
of?
think I would
Well,
second that.
mhm,
As a teen, I was always very close to my parents, thankfully. And, I felt very comfortable talking to them about, the struggles that I had. And, I just don't want anyone to discount going to your mommy and your daddy and
mhm,
telling them how you feel. As you said, a trusted teacher, your guidance counselor, we're all here to help you, right?
mhm,
And they can often point you in that direction if you're struggling, particularly in nutrition, particularly maybe, you're navigating something around, just getting more physically active, again, struggling maybe mentally, at that moment, because we're so seasonal too,
yeah,
right? So one moment you might be feeling like you're struggling, and then next term, not so much. So,
Mhm.
kind of leaning to the people who are around you. They want to hear from you. Parents want to hear how you're doing. So tell them so that they can help you. And, just try not to deal with any of these things alone. Never ever
absolutely,
isolate yourself, whenever you're
absolutely.
struggling with anything.
Absolutely. And yes, so folks, I mean, I think, yeah, the message is clear. It's recognizing that, we are talking to teens. So the goal is not to believe or feel like you're going through this alone. There are, if it's even one trusted adult, yes, some of us may have parents who we can go to and trust. Let's do that. And if for whatever reason you're struggling, there is guidance counselor, there is a trusted teacher who can point you in the direction of how to get the support that you need. So I appreciate that, ladies. And of course, we're at the point in the conversation where I like to call, the final gem, the final takeaway. I know each of you would have shared some wonderful tips and tools that students, teens can take away from this conversation. But in everything you would have shared, what in your view is that one takeaway, key takeaway that you'd want our viewers to come away with having listened to everything you would have shared? So I'm going to start with Philippa first on the mental wellness side, and then ask Kamila to give us her key takeaway on the physical wellness side.
I think it would be when I talk about coping, I'm not talking about pulling up your socks and getting on with it or just getting over it. I'm not talking about that. That is unhealthy. I'm talking about being able to acknowledge that you have a challenge, you have a stress, you're having a problem, you're having a bad day, you're having a bad time. To acknowledge it, and also find the ways to get through it, find the ways to process it, and to be able to see the hope that you will see good times again, because you will. So that is the main thing I would want you to take away.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes. And it's always important to remember that nobody is expecting, perfection, right?
Right.
Nobody's expecting us to get it right or to know it all. Certainly not as a teenager. Let's just start there, right? And the perception that you may have that, oh, because I'm bright and I go to a school like Immaculate and I did well, if to get here, I'm getting good enough grades to get by. It doesn't mean that you're perfect, doesn't mean that you have to all figure it out. It's about being honest enough with yourself that something is wrong, no matter how small you or someone else may think it is, and knowing when to just raise your hand and ask for help and get the help, and don't feel away, don't feel too proud to get that help, because hey, all of us women here on this conversation, we've had to seek help many, many, many times. I will probably continue to ask for help even after this conversation is over, because we're always trying to figure it out. So I love that takeaway, Philippa. Thank you very much. Kamila, what's your takeaway that you
Yeah, I
like
would
to?
like to add to that in that, it's always better to strive for progress over perfection, right?
Mm,
And this wellness journey, this fitness journey is a journey, right? It's a process. And
mhm.
we can't ever expect perfection of ourselves. We're gonna have bad days where we supersede our sugar consumption. And it's not about the counting of the grams. It's definitely not about counting of the calories. It's just, how can I show my body love a little bit more every single day? If I had a bad day today, how can I be better tomorrow? And if you keep doing that, you will be physically healthy, right? And, we have to think about taking decisions and creating habits because we love our bodies and not because we hate it. And so to just celebrate that we have this incredible body that we get to move every day and that takes us around to do what we want to do. And we need to honor that and love that, because we do have this one precious body. We don't get to get our next one, right? We don't get
Yep.
to get our next life. This is it. This is it here. So just take it one day at a time and just keep learning about yourself, explore, get curious, stay supported, stay honest with yourself, and don't try to overdo it, right? Just take it one day at a time.
Thank you. Thank you. Ladies, I just feel so very, very good. I mean, even though this conversation was obviously for teens, I know I myself got so much great stuff from these conversations. And I'm confident that anybody who has been watching and will be watching the recording will as well. I would really want to appreciate and shower you with my thanks and my love for everything that you would have shared, for taking the time from your very busy evenings. Everybody got families and things to look about. So it's not lost on us that you could be doing so many other things, but you chose to share this time with us. So allow me to thank you on behalf of the ICHS Alumni Association Jamaica chapter for taking the time to share and pour into our wonderful cadre of ICHS students. And of course, we wish for you all the very, very best in everything that you do. Appreciate you, Philippa and Kamila. And of course, to my fabulous audience who's watching live, and whether you're watching live or on the replay, we love you same way. I just wanted to highlight the fact that we will be coming back live again next week, Tuesday, same time, 7:30 p.m. Jamaica time. And we are going to be talking about probably one of the most requested topics of this season, which is really around personal safety and security for teens. And yeah, we know we're living in Jamaica and it's tough times where crime is concerned. And unfortunately, our teenagers, especially our teen girls, are not exempt from that. It's so very, very important for us to know how we need to protect ourselves and equip ourselves to prevent the likelihood of falling victim and, God forbid, falling prey to acts of crime, physical and otherwise. There's also cyber safety as well, which we're also going to try and touch on. But please join us for next week's live stream. Of course, subscribe to the ICHS Alumni 876 YouTube channel. hit the notification bell so you're notified every single time that we go live. And please like the video and share it as well with anyone whom you believe would find it valuable as well. This is not just for ICHS students. This information can be used for anyone. And of course, by all means, please come back next week and join us for our conversation next week. And again, ladies, thank you very much for joining. Have a great rest of the night.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.